Good evening, everybody. Thanks for staying back. I live in Lagos now, but Ibadan for me is home. I was born here, I was raised there, and then, I left to do other things. And it reminded me this morning that when I was growing up in Ibadan some 30 years ago, a typical Saturday was late breakfast, right? Laundry, football, such like. And the breakfast was one or two things. You either had akara nogi or moi moi and custard, right? So it's the same for most people, right? And it made me wonder, did our parents at that time have a national conference where they decided this was what was going to be? Or was it handed down to them by their own parents? Or was that as a result of living at a particular time where that thing was the thing that most people did? So hold that thought. How many of us are football fans? See? See? If I ask you what the greatest football club in the world is, you guys will disagree. Right? So what's the greatest football club? The greatest football club in the world is Arsenal Football Club. Yes. Arsenal. Go to the next slide, I'll tell you which Arsenal. Because there are two different Arsenals. Yes. There are two different Arsenals. Not this one. Because they are playing is this one. Right? But what I wanted to show you was that most people here watch football. And we all support Arsenal, Chelsea, United, all of these clubs in Europe. So it occurred to me that how did football become something that is so common and widely spread? European football, as a matter of fact, when they're shooting stars in Ibadan, up shooting. Right, and then the third thing that occurred to me as I was coming here is shawarma. See, you raise your hand. A lot of people like shawarma, but it's not a Nigerian dish. It's of Lebanese and Turkish and Arabian origin. But how did shawarma become something that all of us enjoy that is so much, almost like a staple for Nigerians? It wasn't very common until the mid-2000s, right? And now you can walk up anywhere. There used to be one guy in front of Piboye's World, and then I'll trek from Old Bodija to buy one wrap of shawarma. Something that I had not eaten when I was young. And there's a thread that links all of these three things together. It's popular culture. And it's the culture of the masses. There are a couple of academic definitions. Okay, so it's here. So pop or popular culture is a set of practices, beliefs, and objects that are dominant or prevalent in a society at any given time, right? In the 1800s, it used to be described as the tradition of the people, in contrast to the official culture of the state. So you probably have what the royals do as their culture, and then people that were not of that class had another set of beliefs and things that they used to do. The City University of New York defines it as, while high culture describes the pattern of cultural experiences and attitudes that exist in the highest closed set. Can you guys see? I was forming that I didn't need my glasses, but I can't see very clearly. Yes. So while high culture is the cultural experiences, pop culture is the pattern of cultural experiences and attitudes that exist in mainstream society. In a nutshell, popular culture is the culture of the masses. In today's world, is most visible through media and entertainment, film, television, fashion, sports, and all whatnot. So we've agreed on what pop culture is. And you guys know Kim Kardashian, right? She used to be described as being popular for being popular. She didn't have any specific talent, except that one thing led to another, and she was on TV. And then this year marks the 10th year that her family has had the keeping up with the Kardashians. Incredible. However, in the last 3 or so years, she's been able to rely on her superstardom to work for social justice. She worked with President Trump for people who's been in prison for a very long time. And you can see that Kim Kardashian, whose family were famous for being famous, has parlayed that fame into actual work. Even President Trump himself, who was a celebrity, right? He was a TV host. He was on WWE. I think I have a picture of him. Oh, so you guys see him, right? Trump used to go to WWE just to have fun, but he became the most powerful person in the world. As a matter of fact, I think that his presidency is one of the most consequential for America, good or bad. You guys can debate that. So what we are seeing again is that pop culture itself is becoming very powerful. It's not just something that you enjoy on TV and such like. I'm going to share with you guys a bit of how I came to be interested in pop culture. So I grew up in Ibadan, and in the 90s, Ibadan was a tough place to grow up. Because if you enjoyed entertainment and film and movies, it wasn't readily available. We used to have to wait for Saturday afternoon. There was a guy called Wale Don on BCS TV. You remember Wale Don? Right? And that's when he would tell us, oh, last week something happened in the US. And those were the things that I was interested in, but it was difficult. However, like Jumoke said, yeah, I already knew what I was, I mean, not I've been sure what I wanted to do, but I knew the things that I wasn't very good at, e.g. math. Even till today, I don't carry cash because figures confuse me, right? But I knew that I was good at expressing myself in words, maybe not verbally, but I was, I could write it out. So one day I was going to school, and then I ran into a vendor stand in Challenge. There was this magazine called Hip Hop World Magazine. And then I saw it for the first time. And it was like I was in heaven, because this was what I wanted. I didn't know how it looked, but I was holding it in my hands. And then I saw it for the first time. And that just led me on to find out how I could get involved in writing for magazines, doing entertainment stuff. Bear in mind that I didn't know how it was going to work. This was the mid-90s, right? And then I went to school. When I did junior YA, they put me in science class. My mother had the presence of mind to say, no, it's not happening, you guys. And then I did arts, and I was pretty good at it. I did mass communication in university, again, because I knew what I was kind of leaning towards. However, it didn't happen for me until I wrote for an entertainment magazine, Bubbles. And then my eyes were open, so people could actually do pop culture and entertainment and make a living out of it, right? I was paid a decent salary. And then one time they said, we're flying me to South Africa for MTV Awards. And if my mother was like, really? So these songs that you guys are doing all over can take you out of the country, right? So for me, I now understood that this thing was not just jokes. It wasn't just comedy. It wasn't just entertainment. It wasn't just... As a matter of fact, one of the first things that blew my mind was when the band and Don Jazzy spoke about their first endorsement deal. They were going to sell their company, Mohits, for 1 million naira, I think. And then the guy that wanted to buy it was delaying them because the guy wasn't really interested. Like, okay, guys, call me next week. Call me, I'm out of town. And then he got an endorsement deal with an energy drink, I think it was called Power Fist, and it was 20 million naira. And that's when they started to take it very seriously. So this thing is what 20 million naira, this thing that we are doing. And it just opened my own eyes to see how all of these things happen. In a nutshell, pop culture allows for all of these things that we enjoy, fashion, comedy, film, sports, to be monetized, to run as a business. And you can... Funny enough, right, in the theater, right, and theater is big in other places. I hope that it gets really big again in Nigeria. Do you know that every week in the UK, there's a theater performance of, what's this cartoon, Lion King? Lion King was released in 1994, right? Apart from COVID that had everywhere locked down, if you go to London, every week there's a performance of it. Do you know how much that generates for the family of the people who own the rights? And that's just Lion King, right? So we could look at all of these things and see that guys are making things happen. There's, that's a fine picture of me. Right. So my 9 to 5, I work with Boomplay. Boomplay is a streaming service, media streaming service. It doesn't have a physical product that it sells. A friend of mine moved from a newspaper in Ibadan to another media house that is online in Lagos. And our parents were like, okay, so you are going to leave newspaper for something on the internet. Who reads the internet, right? And then we joined Boomplay together, and our parents were even confused more. Like, okay, so now that we are understanding websites and media, you are going to something called an app, and it's insane because Boomplay reaches 50 million people every month, 50 million users every month, without having to sell a paper CD, right? So that just brings to fore all of the things that is possible when we think of pop culture as something very serious. You guys know Ojoni Gallo, right? Jide Gallo, who coined the phrase favor over labor, right? This guy used to play football barefooted in Ajegunle, and 10 years later was earning £350,000 a week. Now, if anybody earns 350,000 naira per month, they are probably not going to leave Ibadan for Lagos, right? And that's just one of the things. Someone else that you guys are probably familiar with are Tauma and Mr. Macaroni. If Ojoni Gallo is far, these are guys that are just like you and I, right? And then they found a spark using their smartphone and internet that everybody uses. The amount of money that they make will make their parents shy, because they are giving you 500k to make a 60-second video, and if you do that 3-4 times a month, you are soft now, right? You are soft. That's what everybody does. So these are people that we know and understand that are becoming really popular by using pop culture as an avenue to push for whatever agenda they have. Now, a lot of times they make these skits for brands. A lot of times they try to have moral lessons that people can pick a few things off of. And then there's one other guy, his name is Naira Marley. Mali. Everybody's a Malian, Abi. Oh, okay. So exactly, that's the answer I was expecting. Yes, no, and you have your reasons. One of the most biting criticisms of Naira Marley came after this song, Soapy, which was a recollection of his time in detention. He went from Alabama security and back and forth, right? Now, you could say that this guy did something that was wrong, but you kept him in prison for a long time. And then when he came out, this was his way of saying, see what my eyes saw, among other things that he saw there, Soapy. But can you imagine that Naira Marley can remind you of something that is really terrible? 70% of inmates in Nigeria are waiting trial. They've not found them guilty. They're just there. As a matter of fact, it happens more frequently than you think. Except for after COVID that there was, what's it called now? Jailbreaks and things. A random Black Maria will be ferrying somebody, and a prisoner might jump up. I'm using this example because I've seen it in Challenge. One guy jumped out of a Black Maria, ran away, and then the warders and everybody went to carry one guy that used to sell meat. That was a guy. And before you knew it, was bundled into the Black Maria. And you find all sorts. They say you are wandering, and then you are in jail for 4 years. Nobody has found you guilty of any crime. You are just sitting there and waiting. Naira Marley, through a Soapy, told us some of those things, right? And before Naira Marley, somebody else had been to Alabama prisons 30 years before. Orlando Owo. He sang about it, I think about 89 or so. And you see that 30 years later, we still have these issues that somebody sang about bitterly in 1989, happening again in 2020 and 2019. At the most basic, so we've spoken about Tauma and all of them, how they make money and all of it. At its worst, pop culture can show us the underbelly of society, some of the things that are wrong that we've not really paid attention to. Which is why I think that pop culture can be really very effective for societal change. Everybody loves a good meme. You see it on Twitter, you laugh. But a meme can be a battle cry. This guy on the left is the guy that said, God punished for 600 years. And then during the end SARS protest, this guy was saying that if a police guy who is badly behaved will put down his gun and will go man versus man, I'll beat the heck out of you. Right? We can do that. Fela also showed us how you can use music. He said it now, that music has to be for struggle. You can't just say, I'm enjoying music and it's fine, everything. It has to have a meaning and a message behind it. And it's just one thing. There's a guy called Ezra Olubi, who is a co-founder of Paystack. And I find it interesting because this guy doesn't look like the regular nerd guy. I'm not saying that he is. But if your parents bank at First Bank and Union Bank, they might be able to tell you how difficult it is for investors to put $200 million on your head. That means they believe in what you are doing. This guy and his partner's company, Paystack, was acquired by Stripe for $200 million. Ezra wears his hair in dreadlocks, Where's lipstick? Where's nail polish? I'm sure that our parents too will start looking at it like, maybe this guy that is wearing punk, maybe it's not so bad though. Maybe you can set up a company that can be acquired, right? And these things are visible because pop culture makes it very obvious to us. It's what we see on TV. It's the gist that we share with our friends. It's where we go. It's the food we eat. It's people trying to set up a small business by introducing shawarma on the streets of Ibadan when it was not far from Ojurin, and Amala is a viable option. You get? And we do all of these things. Now more than ever, the human race is more connected than at any point in history. Our mannerisms are things that we do. We pick from TV. You probably can understand when Drake raps and you connect to it because we have shared cultures now. We have similar interests, and to a large extent, we have a common faith. COVID messed all of us up, right? Had nothing to do with us. We're in Ibadan, we are chilling. Started somewhere and it spread across the world. What this means to me is that we can then use pop culture as a vehicle of fixing things that are wrong with our society. And we see them, we know them, we experience them. How about we pay more attention to those things, right? If Naira Marley is doing soapy and it's a disgusting dance, how about we peel back the layers? As a matter of fact, why are people who are seen to be badly behaved? What are the things that happened to them that made them this way? How can we fix it? I don't have all of the answers. And I just wanted to share this with us guys. So we have this thing that we enjoy. We know where it's from. We know how to do it. How can we use it for better purposes? Politics and religion might divide us. Pop culture, the things that all of us enjoy, is never going to divide us. Thank you guys.